connected and pass by you? We invite you to take your seats. We'll begin in 2 minutes. By my clock, that's 9:25. Yes, 2 minutes. Honorable Mark Brantley, Premier of Nevis. Honorable Conris Maynard, Minister of Public Infrastructure, Energy and Utilities and Domestic Transport. Senator Dr. the Honorable Joyelle Clark, Minister of the Environment, Climate Action and Constituency Empowerment. Ms. Ruth Zugman Dekoto, Chief of the Mitigation Branch of the Climate Division of the United Nations Environment Program. Dr. Devon Gardner, Head of the Technical Programs of the Caribbean Center for Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency. Mr. Daryl Lloyd, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Public Infrastructure, Energy and Utilities and Domestic Transport. Ladies, gentlemen, in person and online, good morning. The Global Environment Facility United Nations Environment Program is pleased to present the SKN 100 project, achieving a rapid decarbonization of the energy sector in St. Kitts and Nevis. And we welcome you to the official launch of this project. To begin, please stand for the national anthem of St. Kitts and Nevis. Please remain standing. I invite Ms. Tiffany Hodge to give us a word of prayer.
Let's all bow our heads. Dear God and Heavenly Father, we give praise and thanks for your gracious gift which you provide so faithfully, the gift of life. As we assemble here, we come with open hearts and humble spirits, seeking your blessings upon this event. We understand that your presence can transform the ordinary into the extraordinary. In an era where our planet faces unprecedented challenges, the call for wisdom and guidance to combat climate change and reduce carbon emission has never been more urgent. Grant us the wisdom to navigate challenges, the strength to persevere, and the insight to recognize the significance of this event. Dear Lord, may our efforts bear fruit, and may this event be a source of profound joy, inspiration, and achievement for all. We are thankful to you, to all who have worked so hard to put this event together. Please continue to bless each and every one of us and help us to get home safely. Please shower our brothers and sisters who were affected by Hurricane Beryl. Climate change is a serious problem, and only with your grace and mercy and our efforts can we save planet Earth. In His name we pray. Amen.
You may be seated. I am pleased to be back in the beautiful Twin Island Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. One person told me yesterday, the most beautiful of the Caribbean islands. I'm sure there are a few persons here who would be, but I must admit, it is definitely good to be back and enjoying the warm welcome. This morning, I invite Mr. Darrell Lloyd, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Public Infrastructure, Energy and Domestic Transport, to give the welcome and opening remarks.
Thank you very much, Sherry. Kindly allow me to adopt the protocol, but also most importantly to recognize the presence of 3 of our ministers, the Premier from Nevis and the Leader of the Opposition, the Honorable Mark Brantley, my own Minister and Minister of Energy in particular, the Honorable Dr. Conwys Maynard. Okay, he's claiming it. Amen. Say amen, please. And Minister of Climate Change, Dr. Joyelle Clark. Good morning, all. Good morning. Good morning. It's a good morning, isn't it? It gives me great pleasure, of course, to welcome each and every one of you to this very significant and important ceremony as we launch GEF 7 project, achieving a rapid decarbonization of energy sector. I wish, of course, from the beginning to express our profound thanks to Global Energy Facility and UNEP for the financial and technical support that would have been provided and would have brought us to this juncture so far. I also wish, of course, to recognize and welcome SICRI to the team. SICRI plays a very important and pivotal role in this exercise. SICRI in this instance will be serving in the capacity of executing agency. We warmly welcome you and welcome your support and your expertise in this exercise. Ladies and gentlemen, we believe that today's ceremony, of course, signals the start of an exciting exercise, as the prayer person would have indicated that we are strapped and faced because of climate change. And we believe that with our effort and with the support of our God Almighty, we will be able to conquer. The unfortunate thing is that we find ourselves in this serious situation, something that as a nation, we have not significantly contributed to what is affecting us. But we give God thanks that as a government and as a people, we have decided to work assiduously to address these issues. I want to welcome all of you and pray God's richest blessings on the launch. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you, P.S. Lloyd. At this time, we'll have a video presentation introducing the project.
Overview of the GEF UNEP project, achieving a rapid decarbonization of the energy sector in St. Kitts and Nevis. Economic growth in the Caribbean is closely linked with energy consumption, and better access to energy has enabled improvements in the quality of life of the people of the region. However, we are primarily a fossil-fueled region, as seen in this graph displaying the installed renewable energy performance of our electricity systems in 2022. As a region, we have achieved 12% renewable energy system installation, and in St. Kitts and Nevis, which has a target of 100% renewable energy generation by 2030, there is significant way to go. Our typical electricity grid consists of centralized generating facilities, whereby that energy is transmitted to the end users via transmission and distribution lines. However, the electricity grid of the future will combine this centralized fuel and power production with distributed energy resources and energy management opportunities on the typical demand side of the electricity grid. The integrated utility services model, which will be a key feature of this project, whereby the electric utilities will play the role of an energy services company, facilitating the installation of distributed energy resources, energy efficiency opportunities, and energy management solutions for customers, who will then repay the utility on their typical electricity bill. Achieving a rapid decarbonization of the energy sector in St. Kitts and Nevis will therefore be supported by the promotion of innovation and technology transfer for sustainable energy breakthroughs for decentralized power with energy usage and accelerating energy efficiency adoption. Having examined the barriers and root causes to increased renewable energy and energy efficiency adoption, the theory of change for this project will be achieved with the following interventions. The government of St. Kitts and Nevis implements a policy and regulatory framework for achieving its vision of 100% renewable energy electricity generation and 100% high energy efficiency in public buildings. St. Kitts and Nevis generates an increasing share of renewable electricity and increased energy efficiency in public buildings, and mobilizing and channeling increased investments aligned with the revised national energy policy. While this project is being executed by the Caribbean Center for Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency (CCRE) and implemented by UNEP, the stakeholders in St. Kitts and Nevis remain at the center of the decision-making, as shown in the composition of the Steering Committee and the Technical Advisory Committee, as well as the Senior Technical Advisor and the IUS site managers, who will reside in country to drive decision-making and project implementation. A sustainable energy transition must be affordable, fit for purpose, reliable, provide a return on investment, produce the expected output, and keep people safe. With these in mind, we will work together to achieve rapid decarbonization in the energy sector in St. Kitts and Nevis. For more information, you may reach out to the CCRE team or visit our website at www.ccreee.org.
At this time, we'll welcome remarks from the following persons in this order. Ms. Ruth Zugman Dakota, Chief of the Mitigation Branch, Climate Change Division, UNEP, and she will be presenting online, and Dr. Devon Gardner, Head of Technical Programs of the CCRE.
Thank you very much. First of all, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, let me wish you a good morning and say that it's an honor for me to be here representing the United Nations Environment Program. And I would like to say that UNEP is flattered with the trust that have been enshrined on us to support and work together with St. Kitts and Nevis on this project. In the words of our executive director, Inger Anderson, many of us are feeling the sting of the triple planetary crisis: climate change, nature and biodiversity loss, and pollution and waste. The urgency of this crisis is underscored by the fact that the global temperatures are already rising towards the 1.5 degrees that we don't want to overshoot, leading to a more frequent and intense hurricanes, as you have seen, unfortunately, in the region, and other extreme weather events that has set records for the earliest point in season, like Hurricane Beryl, that a storm has grown so large and so early in the season. It is crucial for all countries to work together to reduce emissions and combat climate change. And many countries in the region also need to tackle urgent adaptation efforts. Sometimes the countries that are not the ones responsible for the largest emissions are the ones who are bearing the burden of having to deal with the climate impacts. And I think that's what we heard earlier today as well. In this context, it is a pleasure to participate in this launch of this so needed GEF project focused on rapidly decarbonizing St. Kitts and Nevis energy sector. This allows not only the decarbonization, but also embracing renewables and increasing the resilience of the electricity grid, which I think is very important for small island development states. On behalf of UNEP, I wish to reiterate how delighted we are to work together and support St. Kitts and Nevis in this important initiative, together with the financial support of the Global Environment Facility and the execution support of CRE. I think that's how you say, the Caribbean Center for Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency. This project addresses significant barriers that we have seen in the video related to scaling up energy efficiency and renewable energy on the Twin Islands. Through its three components, it aims to, and I will paraphrase what the video has said: a policy and capacity building, combine pilot projects, and develop a financial mechanism. These are very important aspects to ensure that the project has continuity, a sustainability exit strategy, has a mechanism that allows the results to be financially viable, and the pilot projects to show the evidence with the aim to have energy efficient public buildings in St. Kitts and Nevis. Through these and other initiatives, such as geothermal projects, St. Kitts and Nevis has positioned itself as a leader in the Caribbean region for tackling climate change through the decarbonization of the energy sector. This project, I believe, and I have seen how you are talking about that, is strategic. And not only that it will reduce greenhouse gas emissions, but just as importantly, will reduce reliance on imported oil, thus enhancing the country's energy security and balance of payments. So I think this is also a project that the results can be shared in many other small island development states in the Caribbean, but not only in the Pacific as well. And if this project bears fruits, we'll be very happy to share the results. And we trust that we'll work together for the fruits to be seen as quickly as possible. The UNEP team stands ready to provide support throughout the project execution and to ensure the successful realization of these project and results and the timely achievement of the impacts. I wish you all a very successful project implementation. And again, I'm very, very, very honored to be here with you today. I'll have to leave in a couple of maybe over the last 20 minutes. And I wish you all a very, very good launch and event. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Honorable Premier, good to see you again, sir. Honorable Minister, Conris Maynard, King Conris, they say. Senator the Honorable Dr. Joel Clark, my other colleague minister, I can't remember the name, sorry. Minister Philip. I must learn the full cabinet. I am no Kitty Shan. So, I would also like to acknowledge Permanent Secretary Lloyd, who spoke earlier, General Manager of SKN Clement Williams, who is here with us, and Cheryl Jeffers, Senior Technical Officer in the Ministry of Climate Action et al. Among all the guests who are, and Dr. Bertil Brown, hiding out in the back as always, head of the Director of Energy here at St. Kitts and Nevis. Ladies and gentlemen, all, the region, including St. Kitts and Nevis, emerged approximately 2 years ago from a global pandemic, which devastated many of the sectors that we rely on: agriculture, tourism, et al. I like the word et al nowadays. And fast forward to where we are, we have seen what Beryl recently did, or is still doing, to some of our countries. St. Kitts and Nevis was fortunately spared in this instance, but our neighbors and my own country, Jamaica, weren't so fortunate. So imagine emerging from a global pandemic which retarded growth to significantly historic levels. And as soon as you begin to push your growth into a positive realm, there comes a hurricane that wipes everything back that you would have achieved away. And that is the reason for our countries in the region pursuing decarbonization agendas. On the one hand, it is important for us to play our own part in the global net zero goals of reaching net zero by 2050, the global goals of reaching net zero by 2050. But on the other hand, the massive technology developments that would have been associated with the decarbonization agenda provides our countries with opportunities that we have never seen. The kinds of opportunities that will allow us to make the kind of radical transformative shifts in the design of our energy systems that will move them away from those legacy setup that you would have seen presented previously, where there is this dependence on fossil-based, imported fossil-based generation, where there's this dependence on centralized thermal generation with singular flow of electrons from the generator to the customer, to a futuristic and achievable futuristic arrangement where there is greater democracy in how we build out our central generators, and more importantly, how customers choose to produce or receive as well as use the electrons that are available to them. The democratization of energy, as we call it, is the single biggest piece of the just transition that we can give to our citizens. The democratization of energy on the macro scale also will allow our countries to diversify their economies from the overdependence on agriculture and fisheries and tourism, which are very climate sensitive, to a dependence on much more robust sectors such as energy. Countries like St. Kitts and Nevis, and I'm sure the ministers, and I'm not stealing the minister's thunder, hopefully, and Premier. Countries like St. Kitts and Nevis in the past would never be considered within a conversation around energy 10 years ago, 15, 20 years ago. But now, there are globalized, looking at St. Kitts and Nevis as a possible energy powerhouse, not just within the region, but within the world. Ladies and gentlemen, the GEF 7 project, the CCRE is pleased to be associated with the GEF 7 project. And the GEF 7 project is intending to provide the kind of capacity backstopping to St. Kitts and Nevis that will allow for the exploration and exploitation of the energy resources by creating the kind of legal and regulatory framework that makes things predictable for investors, but also predictable for users and customers. More critically, the integrated utility services, which you would have seen spoken about, is something of which I'm proud, and is something of which St. Kitts and Nevis can be proud. Because in the end, St. Kitts and Nevis will become one of the very first countries, not only in the region, but in the world, to be able to allow for customers to achieve their own energy needs through distributed energy resources, meaning rooftop solar, distributed battery, and to use it more efficiently through efficient cooling, efficient lighting, etc. And do so by financing it through their electricity bills. We call it unbilled tariff financing. This is something which is game-changing and will ensure that the democratization of energy is one that is happening really in a way in which every single citizen can participate, because it will take away the issues around acquisition cost that would normally favor the rich and allow every citizen who has a good relationship and a good track record of paying their electricity bill to get access to monies to be able to make investments on the distributed side of their system. So ladies and gentlemen, over the next 3 years, you will be seeing a lot of me and my team here as we support you in building out this project. And I expect that in 3 years or less, when we stand here to close this project, we will be telling you that I told you so. St. Kitts and Nevis can indeed become the beacon for the energy revolution within the Caribbean space in particular, and SIDS in general. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Gardner and Ms. Dakoto. At this time, I would invite Honorable Conris Maynard to speak on supporting the energy vision for the Federation. Okay, so Senator the Honorable Dr. Joyal Clark will speak to us on supporting the Sustainable Island States agenda in the Federation.
Good morning, everyone. Yes, we're switching so that I can set the context and also because of protocol. So I'm so happy that you established the protocol this morning, but I must greet Conris, the real Conris, and Premier Brantley from the Nevis Island Administration. I feel very happy that we're here at this point. It's been a long and fruitful journey. And in my very brief greetings, I must acknowledge a few persons who have really stuck to it to get us here. Starting first with Mr. Asher Lessels and his team from this project. I remember the immediate past, GEF National Focal Point, Operational Focal Point, and myself, and the current political focal point, that's Ms. Laverne Quealy, who is right here with us, and Dr. Marcus Natta, who is the new political focal point, met with Asher, if I may be so informal, at the GEF Assembly. And he said, Minister, what do you want? And we laid it on the table, and he made a commitment. And we are here having stuck to the timeline and the commitment. So I'm very, 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 very grateful for that. The government of St. Kitts extends its heartfelt appreciation for the support. I'm also very pleased that Dr. Gardner established that he's going to be officially Kittian after 3 years, so we have to get you your pin, amongst other things. But thank you, Sikri, for sticking with us. You have been a reliable partner for the government of St. Kitts and Nevis and for this administration. And I want to thank you for holding our hands, the minister and myself, from the start, and for committing to us. And you have been a fundamental part of the new formula, which has energy and environment, speaking the same language, showing up in the same spaces, and committing to one goal: energy security through renewable transition. So thank you to you and your team. So, very briefly, if my phone works, okay. So our federal commitment to rapidly decarbonize the energy sector in St. Kitts and Nevis, this is tied to international obligations. So as a member of the NDC partnership, we made a commitment nationally that St. Kitts and Nevis, that we would reduce our greenhouse emissions by 61% by 2030. It's ambitious, and this project is directly aligned to that commitment. We're transitioning the public sector to renewable sources of energy, which contributes to the NDC commitment. And I outline that because sometimes it's important for us to establish why we're making these commitments, why we are excited as the Ministry of Energy and Environment about this project. Why are we asking for collaboration and partnership? It's not just something that we pulled out of a hat. It's a national commitment, it's regional, and it's tied to our international obligations. And it's also cross-cutting. So, as Minister for Sustainable Development, which houses GEF, GCF, the NDC partnership, UNFCCC, focal point, and all of these focal points and areas around climate change, it's important that this ministry connects all the other ministries. And that's why we're so proud. The entire team from Sustainable Development is actually here to support the Ministry of Environment in making climate smart, Ministry of Energy, in making climate, we're working as one, so you know the mistake will come, in making mainstreaming climate action, in mainstreaming energy resilience, and making sure the reduction in greenhouse gases emissions is directly linked to the new energy sector. And as I close, I want to thank the real Minister of Energy, Minister Conway Maynard, the champion of our energy transition, and Premier Brantley, the co-champion of our geothermal revolution. They're sharing that championship together, for really committing to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis around energy, energy security, and energy transition. For us, this is a serious climate obligation. It means a lot for the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, for prosperity, posterity, and for championing the most vulnerable. Energy does that. So thank you so much to all of our partners, and I wish this project every success.
Thank you, Honorable Minister Clark. And now we will invite the real Conway Maynard to bring his remarks.
Pleasant good morning, all. I mentioned yesterday that we were in another forum, and I now find it a challenge to speak after Dr. Joel Clark. And I commented that I now know how it felt for my competitors in the Calypso competition when they said they didn't want to sing after me. But I want to say a special good morning to all here. I want to acknowledge the presence of Premier Honorable Mark Brantley of the Nevis Island Administration, and I believe he's also the Minister of Energy in the Nevis Island Administration, our distinguished Senator, Honorable Dr. Joel Clark, Minister of Sustainable Development, Environment and Climate Action, and also Constituency Empowerment, Cabinet colleague and Minister of Youth, Social Development et al., Honorable Iseline Phillip. We have in our presence the Permanent Secretary from the Ministry of Infrastructure, Energy, Utilities, Domestic Transport, Mr. Darrell Lloyd. I also recognize the PS of the Ministry of Sustainable Development, Mrs. Shesdor Tyson. I want to acknowledge, of course, the Director of Energy Unit, Dr. Bertil Brown, the Manager of SKN, Mr. Clement Williams. We also have, of course, with us I always get the title correct, but the champion from SICRI. I always get the title incorrect, but the champion from SICRI, Dr. Devon Gardner. I also want to take this opportunity to recognize Ms. Ruth Zugman-Decoter, Chief of the Mitigation Branch, Climate Change Division from UNEP. Other very important guests here with us today. If I've forgotten anyone that I haven't recognized, I think there might be others online as well. So we welcome you. To my esteemed colleagues, all international partners, a very, very pleasant, slightly damp morning to you. It is, in fact, my distinct honor, of course, to be here for the launch of the GEF UNEP SKN 100 project, whose goal is to achieve a rapid decarbonization of the energy sector here in St. Kitts and Nevis. Now, today marks a very important milestone in the journey towards a cleaner and more resilient future for our beloved Federation. As we gather in the Grenada room, quite coincidentally, after what has happened with our partners in the Caribbean, it is important to acknowledge the unique vulnerabilities of small island developing states like ours. Despite contributing way less than 1% of the total greenhouse gas emissions, our region continues to bear the brunt of the hazards caused by climate change. Here in St. Kitts and Nevis, changing weather patterns have significantly impacted our water supply, for instance, and even access to our beaches. There is a hotel who has lost an entire beach. And we continue to witness the devastating impact of the present terrorist, Hurricane Beryl, who has terrorized our sister islands in Grenada, Carriacou, the Southern Grenadines, impacting places even like Barbados, probably Trinidad on the North Coast, and now before. Have we had a Category 5 hurricane in the Caribbean region in the beginning of July? This is unheard of. And it is scary to think of what the future holds for us. And it is particularly scary because, as mentioned, we do not contribute anything to the changing weather patterns that we have or to the changing climate. Yet, we have to then find 20 to 30 to 40% of our social expenditure just to rebuild every time we get on a sound footing, compared to maybe about 1% of many developed countries. It's 1.2% in North America. So when they have an impact of a hurricane, it's only 1% adjustment they have to make. In Asia and in Europe, maybe less than 1% that they have to adjust to be able to recover. And so these catastrophic events underscore the urgent need for robust climate action, making initiatives like this crucial launch for mitigating impacts and building resilience in our energy sector. So let me take this opportunity to express thanks to the Global Environment Facility and the United Nations Environmental Programme for their financial and technical support. In another forum, perhaps we can get more into climate justice and how very important it is for those that contribute to funds like these to understand that we are not choosing to be in the positions that we are. We simply do not have the breadth and scope to be able to deal with the consequences. And so it is a matter of justice why partners should come on board to ensure that we remain resilient. It also gives me great pleasure to welcome the SECRE team, who has been an ever support for this administration and this government, and I presume and understand across the region, who many of you know has already been part of the energy and utility family for several years now. SECRE in this instance will be serving as in the capacity of executing agency. We continue to welcome we continue to warmly welcome your support and expertise in this area. This groundbreaking project aims to accelerate our transition to 100% electricity generation by renewable energy and improve energy efficiency in public buildings across St. Kitts and Nevis with innovative solutions, as Dr. Gardner would have referenced. The SECRE, with the support of SKN and NEVLEC, will be at the forefront of executing this transformative initiative. I understand that this project has mainly three main components, which are the governance framework, the project implementation, dealing especially with the integrated utility services, and also assistance with project development and financing. Our commitment to a decarbonized energy sector is not merely a policy directive, but a fundamental pillar of our national development strategy. Our national energy policy sets forth an ambitious vision to ensure that all of us, every citizen, has access to reliable, clean, and affordable energy services. By transitioning to renewable energy sources, we help to reduce our carbon footprint, although even when we achieve it, it will be negligible to observe. But we are doing it nonetheless. I recall the Prime Minister said when we were in COP28, we're not looking for sympathy, we're looking for partnership, because we are doing what we need to do, we are taking the steps we need to take. So by us transitioning to renewable energy sources, apart from helping to reduce our footprint, we also will enhance our energy security and our energy independence. It will help us to stabilize energy prices and create new economic opportunities through the development of the renewable energy sector. It is really a very good-looking future for the energy sector in St. Kitts and Nevis. Moreover, the focus on energy efficiency in public buildings encourages lower operational costs within the civil service and allows the government to set an example for sustainable energy practices. These actions align clearly with the ambitions outlined in our revised nationally determined contribution, accelerating our pursuit of a 61% reduction in CO2 emissions by 2030. We are immensely grateful to our international partners for their unwavering support and collaboration, the technical and financial assistance provided by UNEP, GEF, SECRE, and other stakeholders is absolutely instrumental in enabling us to achieve our ambitious goals. Your commitment to supporting small nations like ours is a testament to the shared global responsibility in combating climate change. The GEF UNEP SKN 100 project not only represents a significant investment in our energy future, but also stands as a symbol of hope and resilience. It exemplifies our collective determination to pursue sustainable development and protect our environment for future generations. Through this project, we aim to lead by example in the Caribbean, demonstrating that small island states can take big, bold steps toward a sustainable future. I've long said that St. Kitts and Nevis is small enough to make big changes. We have a small unit, we have a small cabinet, we are interconnected, we are family linked. When we make a decision, it is a lot easier to get the whole of St. Kitts and Nevis going in one direction. There's someone sang a song, Unstoppable Force, here in St. Kitts. And they speak about what you will achieve when you work together. You can move in one direction. As we embark on this transformative journey, let us remain steadfast in our commitment to creating a prosperous and environmentally responsible future for St. Kitts and Nevis. I want to take this opportunity to highlight the partnership between the St. Kitts Nevis federal government and the Nevis Island administration. We have made a commitment federally that the energy sector in St. Kitts and Nevis is not something to play around with politics. It is for our future why we collaborate our efforts to ensure that any energy anywhere in the Federation, whether it be in Nevis, that the area, the geothermal is, what is it called again? What's the name of the test well? Hamilton. Whether it is in Hamilton, where we're finding geothermal reserves, or whether it is on the Bastia Valley Aquifer, where we add solar, or whether it is on our northeastern shores where we can add wind, we as a federal government will explore and exploit the best reserves that we have for our energy future. And I am happy to have been a part of the parliament that passed a resolution determining that the geothermal resource in Nevis is a federal asset that must be developed collectively by the federal government and the Nevis Island administration. And I want to thank the Honorable Premier of Nevis and Minister of Energy for his continuing support and partnership as we move towards securing an energy future for all of us here in St. Kitts and Nevis. I urge all stakeholders to continue to support and engage with this project actively. Let us work hand in hand to ensure its success and maximize its benefits for our people, our region, and our planet. I want to encourage all of us here to support this process as we collectively advance the work towards a sustainable island state. Thank you for your kind attention and your continued support, and I look forward to the successful implementation of the GEF UNEP SKN 100 project and the positive changes it will bring to our beloved Federation. Thank you, and a pleasant good morning again to all.
Thank you, Honorable Minister Maynard. At this time, we're going to have a bit of a break from all the talking, and we will enjoy a cultural presentation by the Brotherhood Drummers.
that the king is a resident. 1, 2, with the whoopah.
I was reading their shirts and it said, learn, master, execute together. And I think that is definitely quite sound as we continue on this project. It is now time for us to listen to our keynote, which will be presented by the Honorable Mark Brantley of the Nevis Island Administration. Honorable Mark Brantley is a lawyer, educated at the University of the West Indies, Cave Hill campus, the Norman Manley Law School, and the University of Oxford. He was called to the St. Kitts and Nevis Bar in 1994 and has practiced extensively and is a member of several bars and international professional associations. He is the senior partner of Daniel Brantley, and his political career, which started in 2006, includes formerly being the Minister of Foreign Affairs, and he's currently Premier of Nevis, leader of the opposition in St. Kitts and Nevis, and as we heard, Minister of Energy in the Nevis Island Administration. He is married and has 2 adult daughters. And now we invite Honorable Mark Brantley to present the keynote.
Good morning, everyone. A lot of time has been spent on the protocol, so forgive me. I adopt the protocol and recognize everybody. I have a beautiful speech It has been prepared for me by the experts, and I want to take some time to get through it because it has some important information in it. But let me start, of course, by thanking all the organizers of this event. This is, for us, a very important event, a very auspicious occasion in our country. You have heard from the ministers before me and all of the speakers before me at the significance of what this means for St. Kitts and Nevis. And I want to recognize all who are here, both in person and those who are participating online. It is with great honor and profound optimism that I stand before you today to inaugurate a pivotal chapter in the history of St. Kitts and Nevis. As we gather under the banner of the project entitled Achieving a Rapid Decarbonization of the Energy Sector, we're not just launching a project, we are igniting a transformative journey towards a sustainable future. Our deepest gratitude is extended to the dedicated individuals and organizations whose tireless efforts and unwavering support have made this project possible. Their commitment to environmental stewardship and economic progress is the cornerstone upon which our work is built. We especially wish to thank the Global Environment Facility, GEF, which is providing grant funding through the JET Trust Fund in the amount of US $3.32 million. The government of St. Kitts and Nevis, which will provide the necessary counterpart funding. This will include both investment mobilized and in-kind recurrent expenditures from various government entities, such as the Ministry of Environment, Climate Action, and Constituency Empowerment, and the Ministry of Public Infrastructure, Energy, Utilities, and Domestic Transport. The United Nations Environmental Program, UNEP, for supporting the project and acting as its implementing agency. The Caribbean Center for Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency, CCRE, which will be the executing agency for the project with responsibility for overseeing the day-to-day operations of this project. And of course, representatives from the various government entities that have contributed to the development of this project and its successful implementation and will continue to be a part of this project over the next few years. If I can take a moment just to look at an overview of the project, the key components of this project are as follows. 1, policy and institutional arrangements. This involves developing and strengthening policies, regulations, and institutional frameworks to support the transition to renewable energy and energy efficiency. 2, demonstration of energy efficient buildings. The project will showcase best practices in energy efficiency by creating model public buildings that adhere to high energy efficiency standards. And 3, scaling up financing for renewable energy and energy efficiency. This component aims to increase investments in renewable energy and energy efficiency technologies through innovative financing mechanisms. These components, ladies and gentlemen, are designed to work together to help St. Kitts and Nevis achieve its goal of 100% renewable electricity generation and 100% high energy efficiency in public buildings. The project's success will depend on the effective implementation of these components with the support of funding from GEF and confirmed co-financing. The project represents a key component in our nation's bold step forward in the fight against climate change, specifically targeting the decarbonization of our energy systems. It is part of a comprehensive strategy to overhaul the current energy infrastructure, transition to renewable sources, and implement energy-efficient practices across the breadth of St. Kitts and Nevis. By doing so, we aim to reduce our carbon footprint, foster sustainable development, and secure a cleaner, greener legacy for future generations. Other major components of our energy sector roadmap include the development of grid-level renewable energy resources, especially geothermal energy resources, implementation of a new 66 kV transmission system linking both islands, and incidentally, we are only 2 miles apart at our closest point, implementation of the IUS program under which this project falls. The IUS program includes energy efficiency and distributed generation in the form of rooftop solar PV. A first stage of this program has already been implemented at the Alexandra Hospital in Nevis. And in Nevis, we are already seeing the change with that facility now using 30% less power. The project is a critical aspect of our nation's decarbonization of the energy sector. Decarbonization is not merely an environmental imperative, it is an economic and social necessity. The adverse effects of climate change pose a significant threat to the stability and prosperity of nations worldwide, particularly small island states like ours. Transitioning to a low-carbon economy is crucial for mitigating these risks, promoting energy independence, and ensuring the long-term health and vitality of our communities. Through this project, we are taking decisive action to address these challenges, setting a precedent for responsible and resilient growth. The government's commitment to creating an enabling environment and providing ongoing support is essential for the success of this project. And I want to publicly thank the Honorable Congress Maynard and, of course, the federal government headed by Prime Minister Dr. Terence Drew for the excellent work that they've been doing and their stated commitment. What I have seen is not just statements, but action, and that, I believe, is important. The level of government support needed is substantial. It will include, of course, policy support. The government will need to develop and implement policies and regulations that facilitate the transition to renewable energy and energy efficiency. This includes setting targets, which you've heard, creating incentives, and ensuring that the legal framework is conducive to investments in these areas. Institutional support. Strengthening institutional capacity will be critical. This may involve establishing dedicated agencies or departments, providing training and ensuring that there are sufficient human and financial resources to manage and oversee the project's implementation. Financial support. Although the project has secured some funding from GEF, the government may need to allocate additional resources either directly or through facilitating additional investment. Public engagement. The government will play a key role in engaging with the public to raise awareness about the benefits of renewable energy and energy efficiency, and to encourage behavioral change. I don't want to underestimate the need for public engagement. All that we do is useless unless the public is engaged and the public is willing to change behaviors. Monitoring and evaluation. Ongoing government involvement will be necessary to monitor the project's progress, evaluate its impact, and make adjustments as needed to ensure that our objectives are met. Now, I have a note here that says, on behalf of the government of St. Kitts and Nevis, I'm not sure I'm qualified to say that. So let me say that on behalf of the Nevis Island Administration, and I believe that based on what Congress has said, on behalf of the government of St. Kitts and Nevis, we hereby affirm our full commitment and unwavering support towards the successful implementation of this project. We recognize, ladies and gentlemen, the importance of this project in meeting our national goals for sustainable development and to addressing the global challenges faced by climate change. We are dedicated to providing the necessary policy, institutional, and financial support to ensure that the project's objectives are achieved. The government will actively and will have to actively engage in the development and enforcement of supportive policies and regulations, allocate the necessary resources as needed, and work closely with all stakeholders to facilitate the transition towards 100% renewable electricity generation and 100% energy efficiency in public buildings. We are committed to fostering an environment that encourages public participation, innovation, and investment in renewable energy and energy efficiency. We will ensure that the project is managed with transparency and accountability, and that its progress is monitored and evaluated regularly to guarantee its success. This project is testament to our nation's resolve to create a sustainable and prosperous future for all of our citizens, for all the people of St. Christopher and Nevis. We pledge to play our roles diligently and with honor and integrity. Ladies and gentlemen, we are gathered here at a time when our region is being battered by Hurricane Beryl. We have seen the devastation in our sister islands of Carriacou and Union Island, some of the Grenadines, and now Jamaica. While I sat there, I was in contact with friends in the Cayman Islands who say that even now they're being battered. We don't know what the results will be. As you would have heard from my bio, at one point I was foreign minister of this country. And I recall that in 2017, I was given the privilege of addressing the United Nations General Assembly and delivering our country's statement. And I said then, 2017, that the Caribbean region was being asked to cash a check that we did not write. In the context of climate change, we are being asked to cash a check that we did not write. We are being asked to fight a war that we did not start and to which we have not contributed. And I want us all here to understand that this is not anymore a subject for armchair discussion and for nice academics at the University of the West Indies and elsewhere. This is real. When we look at the images and the videos that are coming from Carriacou, and we hear that 90% of homes have been destroyed or damaged, we understand that this is real. And you ask yourself the question, what did the people of Carriacou do to contribute to the ferocity of the storms such as Beryl? You'd have heard from the minister that this is the earliest Cat 5 storm that we have seen in history in this region. And we're only in July. We're barely into July. Usually we say September is the month that we fear. But now we're in July with a Cat 5 storm at this level, with this ferocity. We wonder what is likely to happen. We, the people of the Caribbean civilization, are the ones who are being asked to carry this burden. And so we are very happy for the funding that we have seen, but we are saying it needs more funding. We need the developed world to scale up their assistance to us because we are the ones who are being asked to cash the check that we did not write. We are the ones who are being asked to carry the burden and to rebuild. Sometimes, as we look around the region, we complain about high debts, but nobody ever analyzes and assesses that a lot of the reason for that debt is because we have to continually borrow to rebuild after climatic conditions such as hurricanes. We saw the devastation of Maria and Irma in 2017 and the devastation since then. And I'm saying that it is time for us now to act. I spoke about a speech I gave in 2017, that's 7 years ago. And here I am giving another speech. It is really time for us to act. And I believe that the commitment that we've had here in St. Kitts from the Dr. Drew-led administration is mirrored on Nevis by the administration that I'm privileged to lead at this point. And we're working together. And that is why I believe they felt comfortable asking me to be the keynote speaker, because they understood that we are working together because our goal of energy independence is a shared goal. We are seeking to achieve a sustainable island state, and the only way we can do that is to work together to harness all of the renewable energy resources that we have available to us. Geothermal energy, you would have heard about. Geothermal energy, when it is explored, has the capacity to wean us entirely off fossil fuel for the generation of electricity. I'm very happy to see colleagues here from Nevlec, that is a Nevis utility company, because they're the ones who have been leading on that project on the island. And when you ask, why has geothermal not yet been developed, I get asked that a lot. The answer is simply financing. Comes back to financing. We can have all the lofty ambitions in the world. Without financing, we cannot achieve those ambitions. And the minister made a very important point, Minister Maynard, that is, when he spoke about us achieving what we're seeking to achieve for us. Because truth be told, our emissions are so minimal and negligible at this point that even if we do achieve our goal of reducing those to zero, it perhaps will not have any global impact. But we're doing it nevertheless because we recognize that it is important for us to achieve energy independence. It is important for us to wean ourselves off fossil fuel. It is important for us to decarbonize our energy sector, and we do it for us. We do it for the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, and in so doing, I believe that we will become the model, not only for the region, but for the world. St. Kitts and Nevis, we are small, but I believe that one of the values of small size is your ability to operate in a nimble way, that you can respond quickly. You heard about the size of the cabinet here in Bastia. The one in Nevis is even smaller. So we can respond quickly. And that, I think, is an advantage that allows us to scale up and to respond to challenges in an effective way. And so this event is an important event because it represents not just another talk shop, but concrete steps being taken in the decarbonization journey. And we're hopeful that what happens here can become a model for the region and for the world. I thank you for having me. I'm grateful that I've been given this opportunity to say a few words, and I extend my prayers to our brothers and sisters across the region who even now are feeling the impact and the effects of climate change. Climate change is real. It impacts us, and it impacts us in a very negative way. And all of us in this Caribbean must stand up and speak with one voice that it is time that the developed world, which has benefited from industrialization, to our detriment, must now stand up and foot the bill of putting this world right. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you, Honorable Premier Brantley. We've done very well with time this morning, given the late start. And so now I invite Ms. Cheryl Jeffers, Chief Technical Officer, Ministry of Environment, Climate Action, and Constituency Empowerment, to give the summation and closing remarks.
Good morning, and thank you, Madam Chair. Please permit me to adopt the protocol that was so ably established. When I was given the task to give summation and summary, I said, whoa, which means I have to pay attention to UNEP, I have to pay attention to SICRI, and I have to listen to every word that Minister Maynard, my Minister Clark, Honorable Premier has to indicate. And I was like, this is a very huge task. But I can say that having listened to the interventions and the comments, it is very, very easy. And I say that because, as Minister Brantley would have said, we here within this room are really speaking from one voice. And this makes my task very easy. But just to give some quick insights based on what was presented today, we would have heard from the UNEP, who reminded us that as small island developing states, our contributions within the greenhouse gas emissions is quite negligible, but we face the brunt of climate change, and all of us here can attest to the ravages of Hurricane Beryl as we speak to our sister islands. We would have heard from SICRI, who is a family and has been a family, and now I understand that Dr. Gardner is getting a St. Kitts and Nevis passport. I think one should be deserved to our Madam Chair, Sherian, as well, so I think we have to look for two in the first instance. And so this is a note to our cabinet colleagues, hint, hint. But we really do encourage and look forward to the technical support that we expect from SICRI, and based on the comments that Dr. Gardner would have given, I think we are off to a very good start in terms of the expectations of the project, which aims to decarbonize our sector. And I have to say decarbonize because having actively engaged into the climate change negotiations for too many years, our developed partners tend to use the word of phase down. St. Kitts and Nevis, as a small island developing state, do not want to talk about phase down. We want to decarbonize the sector. And so we are really pleased with the work that we're expecting to be generated from this particular project. My Honorable Minister, Dr. Clark, it is indeed a pleasure to be here to represent you and our ministry. And just to say that with our ministry being the focal point for climate change, our ministry with responsibility for implementing and getting support for the targets that are achieved under the NDC, we are really pleased to be here to recommit our intentions in terms of our goals for achieving the 1.5-degree goal, but also our 61% reduction by 2030. As Minister Maynard would have said, we are small enough, but yes, I think that we can do it. And recognizing that we have that collaborative support from both islands, I am pleased to say that I think that we really can do it. Minister Maynard, I have to say, even though it's been recorded, my minister usually questions whom my loyalty is. Is it Ministry of Environment or is it Ministry of Energy? And I think it's because energy security is critical, not just for our department, but within the entire country. And it is our responsibility as partners to share the relevant support, and the resources in terms of financing is available from our ministry, then we'll lend that support. So yes, I am committed to Dr. Clark, but we are here to provide the support to the Ministry of Energy. So Ms. Clark, please, I reconfirm my commitment to the Ministry of Energy and Climate Action. See, I'm talking the wrong thing. The Ministry of Environment and Climate Action with collaborative support with the Ministry of Energy. I am getting it mixed up, so I did not really speak the truth, apparently. Honorable Premier, it is indeed a pleasure. I was really pleased that I saw the representatives from Nevis. I was a bit worried in light of the choppy waters and the taking the risk, I must say, to traverse across the waters with the choppy waters. You really do demonstrate the commitment of being here, because it is really a critical point in terms of where we are at. So just to summarize, I would say that in terms of moving forward, collectively, it will recognize, looking at the diverse disciplines that are here, for us to implement a successful project. I am hoping that all of us who are here will be here at every subsequent activity in terms of pledging support. It requires collaborations, not just from the Ministry of Environment, Climate Action, or even from the Ministry of Energy, but it really requires collaboration from across all ministries. And I'm glad that the Ministry of Sustainable Development, it is here in its full swing, because we really do require the support. So it's really commendable. Another key takeaway I must say is that, yes, we are small enough, and yes, we'll do big changes. And I believe that innovation, in recognizing our size, this is our moment. I really do believe that, looking at the expected outcomes, this is our moment for us to really shine and be that beacon of light, not just for the Caribbean, but as small island developing states. We have a long way to go, but it's my opinion that based on the support that we intend to receive, not just from SICRI, but also from our line ministries, we really can achieve. We're expecting to have a closeout by 2027, but I think that in a subsequent meeting, the executing agency have been charged to see how fast and efficient we can actually get this done, so we may actually get it done before 2027. So Devon, I think you should take point on that. We are at the end, and just before I close and pass back over to Madam Chair, I just want to highlight and give my personal thanks and gratitude. Minister Clark would have highlighted Asha. I don't think he's on the call right now, but I could recall many years ago, it was Asha and his team who really rallied around the ministries. What do you want? And we sat collectively and actually gave the information in terms of what we believe can actually be achieved. So to UNEP and its team, and I recognize Loana is here. Thank you for taking the time to join us. We really want to commend the technical support that we would have received from UNEP. Also, during the implementation or actually conceptualization of the project, it was then when Ms. Quealy, who is here in a nice, beautiful pink, who was a GEF operational focal point, would have been leading and guiding that charge. Back then, she was working within the Ministry of Sustainable Development, and her commitment and presence here actually do demonstrate that she's still committed to lend the relevant support that is required. So Ms. Quealy, from the previous GEF operational focal point and now within the Ministry of Finance, which is very important, we really do want to say thanks, because I know the Ministry of Finance is quite busy. So your presence today is a demonstration that we are here to collectively collaborate. SKN and NEVLEC, we are your friends, we are your family, and we really would rely on you moving forward for the technical support that you require. And Minister Maynard and Minister Brantley is here, so if you need any additional support, this is your opportunity to speak in the corridors and let them know that for us, for the project to be successful, we really need some additional personnel if necessary. But just to close, I want to say thanks again for taking the time out to be here. Collectively, I personally believe that we can do it, but it requires all of us to continue singing from one hymn sheet, one song, right, Minister Maynard? Right? One song. And I just want to say thanks again, and we look forward to your collective support and partnership as we officially launch the project and get into the real meat, which is the real work. So we all here know our little pretty faces, but the real work starts now. Climate change is real, and St. Kitts and Nevis can be that beacon in the Caribbean as subsequently as a small island developing state. So thank you very much, and do have a blessed day.
And thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, as a CARICOM institution, the SICRI usually recognizes CARICOM Day in commemoration of the signing of the Treaty of Chaguaramas on July 4th, 1973. This day was being celebrated on Monday, July 1st this year, and you can imagine it was difficult for us to celebrate as an institution and as a region because of the impact of Hurricane Beryl on that day and what has continued throughout the week. And so before we go, I'm going to invite you to pause in reflection of the lives lost, the properties damaged, and the rebuilding which must take place in Barbados, Grenada, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, and onwards. So pause for a brief moment in reflection. And on that somber note, it is now time for the rubber to hit the road in St. Kitts and Nevis with regards to rapidly decarbonizing the energy sector. We've recognized the why, we've recognized how we can change, and so we will get to doing the work. I'm inviting our photographer to let us know. We should now have a photo spray. I'm inviting him to let us know where you want us positioned for those photos, which will be followed by the opportunity for you to network and refresh yourselves. Mr. Photographer?